Hey, this is Captain Paul Brawley with Fish Finder Guide Service. Welcome to this week's edition of Texas Fishing Tips. We're going to start out over here in one of our usual areas off of Island Basin, and we're going to be looking in the gut that runs right in through here. There's a little gut right there. The trout are still pretty active. It's a little deeper water. It's probably 3 foot. It is what I call the final turn as fish are coming out of Baffin and they're coming down that east shoreline. They're hitting a wall of grass that's right in here. And so they're coming here and they're turning. They're going through this gap and getting in this natural gut. So this gut here is a natural place for them to kind of get together, contain, school up, whatever you want to say. There's plenty of bait in there. There's a little sunken island there. Watch out right in here or so. There's some white PVCs marking an old structure that's on the bottom. So you want to be careful in that area. But nevertheless, this area here is going to hold some real nice trout. I don't think you have to be there first thing. They're there kind of all day. What I've been doing is power poling down, throwing some croakers out there. If I catch 2 or 3 trout and the bite stops, I'll pick up my power poles, let the wind move me 50 yards. I'll put the power poles back down, throw some more croakers out, and catch 3 or 4 more fish. The fish in there are a bunch of oversized trout in there. There's also a bunch of good keeper trout and some oversized reds. When you catch these oversized trout, be sure that you don't keep them on the deck too long. Get your picture, get them released. You know, that's kind of why they're doing it. So let's kind of follow suit and try to help out in that area, in that arena. If possible, let's get this catch, photo, and release done as quickly as possible. CPR. We're trying to do it as quick as possible. Moving across the intercoastal into this big gap right here, this little bit deeper water that squeezes down past the burned down cabin right in there. Be careful. There are some rocks right here. So that open area here, way around the rocks, and this open area here is holding trout early. I'd be there at first light. Have your croakers ready. Get them out there. Try to get your limits of trout done, and then move on to something else. Through there, I am using the number 7 cowhook, croakers exclusively, no piggy perch. You can make drifts from the back sides of these shoals all the way to this west side, throwing popping cork and shrimp. You will pick up all kinds of stuff, including trout and redfish. Maybe a black drum or 2. There's a lot of drum lines all out through this area here. There's drum lines like crazy. So I'm sure there's drums there, although we haven't been successful catching them. Doesn't mean that somebody drifting with corks and shrimp will not catch them. You know, you guys might catch them. Anyway, right through there seems to be pretty good trout fishing right now, very early. Okay, moving right along. We're going to be looking at the Meadows, in particular this area right in here. All right, well, it's getting the time of year where we got the super low tides in the afternoon. Early in the morning, all these reds and drums are up here where you can't get them. They got their tongues stuck out because they know you can't get to them. If you do get to them, you're going to get stuck. So you're not going to go to them, but they're going to be up there, and you're not going to catch them. But about 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, a little magic thing happens. It gets really, really hot, and all of these fish come out and get on these sand holes on this drop. And I mean tons of reds and black drum that you can catch in the afternoons all through that curve right there. Early, you can spend some time out here in this deeper trough off the edge, and you can pick up your trout. You may pick up, by luck or accident, a red or a drum, but most of them are going to be way up here on this sand, and they're going to move out here around 10 to 3, 11 to 3 o'clock. A lot of guys use popping corks and shrimp through there. because they're having trouble finding the sand holes because later in the afternoons the winds blow. It gets a little bit of murky there. I have the sand holes marked, so I know where they're at. I use a 1/4 ounce or a 1/8 ounce jig head with a live shrimp on the bottom all through here to catch those reds and drum. You don't have to use live shrimp specifically, but you'll catch more reds if you do. You'll catch probably the same amount of drums whether you're using dead or alive. That part probably doesn't really matter. Out here early where we're talking about those trout, let's try to use croakers. In here later, let's try to use live shrimp and or dead shrimp for the black drum. That seems to be what's happening in that particular area right now. All right, we're going to be looking at Rocky Slough and the Yarborough area next. Through Rocky Slough, all through the deeper water, the deeper rocks, early, using croakers or shrimp on popping corks, you can pick up some nice trout. The trout fishing has slowed considerably in Baffin, but around Rocky there still are some nice trout, and there's still a few redfish all up and down those rocks, the deeper rocks early, and then later you could pick up some sight casting drums, little wads that are running up and down these rocks here. You could pick up a few of those black drums, as well as maybe some reds on corks a little bit tighter to the edge. Coming around behind all of these rock spoils, especially if you have a big southeast wind, there's still some trout, primarily catching those trout on popping cork and shrimp. I like using the 4 Horsemen cork, especially the new titanium ones. I've mentioned that quite a bit in some of my previous videos or previous blogs. Right through here, fishing the backs of those spoils kind of tight to them, you're going to be using popping corks and shrimp. You can use croakers, free lining them. The bite has slowed on croakers, but they're still eating them. We're going to move right over here and look at this drop at Yarborough. Right off of Yarborough, almost the same as is in the Meadows, anywhere between 10 and 3 o'clock. That little magic thing happens where this big flat right here gets to be 5,000 degrees, and all those fish pull off that flat. They get right on that drop right there, and you have a great opportunity of picking up redfish and drums. I do believe that if you use live shrimp on a lead head and or live shrimp on a popping cork, you're going to have your best results. Sometimes the water clarity isn't that great in the afternoons. However, Yarborough seems to stay clearer than most other places. It doesn't have as much mud. It's a little harder sand. So if you can see those sand holes, I would always opt to throw my shrimp with a jig head into the sand holes. You can use dead shrimp. You'll mainly catch drums and hardheads. If you use live shrimp, you will catch more redfish and black drum. So that whole area seems to be producing. That's kind of my report for this week. So you guys be courteous, catch a bunch of fish, and until next time.